Okay. Hi, Harbinder.
Hi,
We are live
Shashank.
now. Thank you for coming into our show. Let us wait for our guests to come in and then we'll start. So we'll take another 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. How are we doing today?
Absolutely brilliant. How about you?
Good. Excited. 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 So let us
Yeah.
see people are joining in. Come on, guys. Whenever you join in, say hi to Harbinder. Good morning to me. Namaste. Sat Sri Akal. Come in, join in. We're waiting for you to start. Right. So I can see people coming in. Thank you. Hi, Akash. Hi, Harry. So kindly post a comment, say good morning, hi, hello, so that I know you are in, so that Harbinder can give you the tips and the secrets you're looking for.
Come on, guys. It's a brilliant Sunday morning. And we've got a very exciting topic to talk of.
Absolutely. And this topic is not available on internet, guys. Trust me. हमने बहुत ढूंढा कुछ नहीं मिला.
I know.
Okay, so people are coming in. Say hi, good morning, hello.
I know. Hi.
So Harbinder, I think we will wait for another 1 or 2 minutes and then we can maybe start
Sure. Yeah.
so that people can settle in,
Absolutely.
people can join in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm. How's it going for you? Is this a holiday? Sunday is a holiday for you?
Actually, the one good thing about entrepreneurship is, especially when you are in a field which is of your choice and it is your
Right.
passion getting converted into profession, you are happy to work 7 days, and at the same time you have the flexibility to take any day off. So, every day is pretty good. So.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
But yeah, but Sunday is the day when you generally catch up with the Netflix and all the other pleasures of life.
I have been there for already. Yes,
Yeah, some internet issue.
yes, yes, yes. And in India, how can we not live without internet issues?
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering if it is at my end because I
So
suddenly
yeah, it was mine. It was mine. Somehow it didn't connect.
got it.
Yes,
Got
yes.
it.
So thank you guys. Come on, post me good morning. Say hello, hi to Harvinder. Let's see and start our conversation for today. It's already 4 minutes past 11. We can start it in a minute or so. Yes. Yes, sorry, Harvinder. We were talking about your day off.
Yeah, yeah. What I was saying was that once you enjoy the work that you do, there are no timings, there are no days. So at the same time, you do have the flexibility to take, a day off whenever it is required. And probably one good thing that has
Yeah.
emerged out of this pandemic issue in the last couple of months is that everybody is clued on to how to use video conferencing and internet as a
Right.
medium of communication. So it's kind of
Right.
worked out really well.
Yes. And actually, it is helping people to grow business. I
Absolutely.
have seen people who were not able to tap opportunities outside their local region, and now they are maybe doing business globally, or maybe
Ab-
thinking of talking to people globally.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. That's
Okay.
absolutely right.
So perfect. I think it's 5 minutes past, so now we can start officially. Okay.
Yeah.
So good morning, friends. This is Shashank Jain, and welcome to my show, Conversation with Shashank. Hooray! We are on Sunday, and we have our show today. So feeling blessed to have an amazing Sunday today, guys. And today I have a very special guest, Harbinder Singh Narula. Hi, Harbinder.
Hi, Shashank.
Hi. So thank you for accepting the invitation and coming onto our channel. So let me introduce Harbinder first. So he's a personal brand and a digital content strategist. He was part of the core team for YouTube launch in India. He started business development operations for Google in India and many more projects in India. I was checking Harbinder's profile and I was like, what do we write? There's so many things. How do I choose? So Harbinder, that was a huge list.
I know.
Please
I've
add
been
on to your list and help us what you do and about yourself, please.
I've been pretty fortunate in terms of my career. I have had the good fortune of working with the right company at the right time. Uh, you know, I've been pretty much a risk taker in my life. So I'm someone who loves newness in life, and which actually makes me someone who loves to experiment. So I've joined companies which were very, very lesser known organizations at the time that I started working with them, and it was a great learning experience. And I've also had the good fortune to start new businesses as well as new offices for existing businesses. So I've had I worked with Times of India. We were working on a new product which was bringing content onto landline phones. And that was a big challenge. So we created voice content. Then I started the business development operations for Google in India. So the Gurgaon office was started by me and one more gentleman. So I started the business operations. Had the good fortune to be with Google at the time when Google acquired YouTube. So I got an opportunity to launch YouTube in India. Uh,
Wow.
and then I started one of the early healthcare portals in the country, and then got into choosing internet as a chosen medium to disseminate information in a useful format, and worked on healthcare. And while I was working on one of the projects in the healthcare business, which is called Health FAQ, and for which I was meeting a lot of doctors, is when I realized that how big an opportunity that personal branding is, and how how it has been ignored by everyone in the industry.
Right.
And that is when I started studying this, and I went back to my own career, my own journey, and I realized how personal branding had actually helped me in different phases of my life, both on the professional front as well as the personal front. So every time, I mean, getting to work with a company like Google without even applying for a job was a classic case of getting noticed in the industry for the right reasons, and being identified as someone who was perceived to actually someone as who could add value to the organization or to the project that they were looking at. So putting all of these together, aligning my own experience, aligning my own knowledge, as well as studying this opportunity is when I started working on personal branding, and so that's how I got into this.
My God, that's a huge journey, Harvinder. I mean, playing so many facets is definitely a big challenge, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
Wonderful. Happy to have you here. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So, guys, let me start our conversation with Harvinder. Are you ready? If you're ready, say ready, and I'll be happy to start with it. Cool. So, people are posting it here. Good. So, let me start with the first question, Harvinder. When we talk about personal brand, what do you mean by it? So, a lot of people don't know. So, I want to understand from you what is personal brand.
See, what happens is that branding is not a new concept. It's an age-old concept. The companies have been branding their corporate, so there's something called corporate branding. Then big companies have been branding the products that they sell. So that is called product branding. So, for example, when Dettol is a brand, or when you
Yeah.
go and go outside and you're looking for water, and you are looking for safe drinking water, you ask for bottled water, and a guy picks out a bottled water and hands it over to you, and you tell him that boss, मेरे को ये नहीं चाहिए. Can you give
Yeah.
me a Surrey or Aquafina, or can you give me a you know Avian, depending on where you are. You're asking for a specific brand, and that brand is actually promising you safe drinking water, and which is why you are paying a premium over a regular water, and you buy a particular brand.
Correct.
Similarly, what happens is each of us are a brand. If you
Right.
look at yourself as an interior designer, why would someone choose you over multiples of other competitors who are there? Because of this, there's a confidence that okay, this person has a good eye for detail, he has
Yeah.
good aesthetics, and he also has the ability to deliver. Similarly, when you go to a doctor, you go to a particular doctor because you trust that person. You trust your wealth planner. You choose your lawyer based on what his credentials are and how you feel confident that that guy is going to deliver what you are looking at. So each
Correct.
of us as individuals have the responsibility. We already have opinions that are formed in people's minds. So these
Correct.
opinions are basically the brand. So when the branding is about an individual, that is what a personal brand is. And it is
Perfect.
very clearly defined by people like Jeff Bezos and all that. It's what people talk about you while you're not present in the room.
Yeah. I
That's
know.
what personal brand is.
I mean, that's an amazing story, Harvinder. I mean, I remember there are big people like Warren Buffett, right? So he has his own brand, right? So we don't know Berkshire Hathaway. So most of the people don't know about his company. But what they know about is Warren Buffett. That is what people are aware of.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And today, imagine if Warren Buffett were to start any business, and he's looking at raising capital, public money for that. People will assume that if it's a business being started by Warren Buffett, it is a well thought out business and it will not fail. It will take off.
Yeah.
So that's a confidence that personal branding brings to the table for an entrepreneur.
That's
And
nice.
it's not just for entrepreneurs, even for working executives. I mean, when you
Yeah.
are getting picked up for a promotion, there's only one guy who gets picked up out of the five or six or 10, right?
Yeah.
And it is dependent on what is the perception that the boss has or the business has of you, because of which you get picked up.
So I think this is the key for this question, guys, and this is for all the audience here and all the people who will be watching this tomorrow or maybe later. So the personal brand is important for a working executive, a professional, and also it is required by everybody. It is important for everybody. It is how we choose it. Yeah, wonderful, Ravinder. So my next question is, how are interiors of your home or office related to your personal brand?
Uh, what happens is, Shashank, I'll share with you a real life scenario, right? For example, if you were to go to a clinic of a doctor or you want to go to a hospital, You would, when you enter, the moment you enter, based on the ambience that you see, based on the interiors that you see, is when you will create a perception about what kind of a place that is, what kind of a doctor that is. Is he someone who's going to charge you a 1500 rupee consultation? Is he going to be someone who's going to charge you 200 rupee consultation? Second is, uh, the eye for detail demonstrates your personal belief systems and personal values. Also, if you look at companies, large companies, I worked with Google, and Google is known for its culture. You know,
Correct.
so culture is defined by people, and it's you don't find people wearing pinstripe suits with ties at Google. I mean,
Yeah.
you do have people who wear a suit when they go for a professional meeting, but typically the place is very eased out, you know. And when you look at that place, it defines the kind of people that operate there, you know, a free-minded people who are free-willed, and they have they're empowered to go make a difference. So nobody's sitting on their head. So the whole culture is defined through the interiors of that particular space, right? So that's what it matters. And second is, if you look at the concept of uh, closed offices versus open offices, right? It shows a
Right.
mindset of the people. And who are the people who define what kind of a place this should be? Is usually the founder or the CEO, right? Or the
Correct.
promoters. They have a vision, and that vision stems out of their own belief systems, their own value systems, right? So you will always find that the office space is a true reflection of the mindset of the people who define that particular business, right? We have
Right.
generally ignored it, right? But even as an interior designer, when you go to a client, there's a brief that we get from a client कि मेरी
Correct.
इच्छा है कि मेरे को इस टाइप का ऑफिस बनाना है, ठीक है ना? And you
Correct.
can see that, if you look at their expressions, they'll be, it's like somebody daydreaming and he's visualizing with his closed eyes that, this is the kind of place I want to create, right? I'll give you
Correct.
an example of even retail outlets
Mm-hmm.
or people who are into self-employed businesses. For example, if you go to a financial advisor's office, it could be a small dining table and a chair on which he's sitting and
Correct.
doing his work, or it could be a well-designed office. It just goes to define how detail-oriented and how much he cares about things,
Correct.
so it does define the place. Your mindset is very clearly demonstrated in the space that you probably get created for your work.
Wonderful. I mean, this gives me so many ideas, Harvinder, because when I talk to people, when I talk to my clients, and I specifically ask, what is the purpose? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing home interiors, or why are you doing interiors of your office? And what is the objective behind it? And when I start conversation, when I talk to them, then I get to know, okay, so this is what is there in their mind. So they want to create a culture in the organization. And जब आप ये बोल रहे हो ना तो मुझे स्ट्राइक कर रहा है मैं इंट्यूटिवली पूछता था पर अब मैं शायद स्ट्रक्चर से पूछूंगा.
हाँ. नहीं, नहीं, Shashank, I'll just share with you because when I do personal branding with my clients, so the main differentiation that I have two processes that I go through with my clients before I jump onto actually working on the personal branding. And these two processes are basically I deep dive into their life, right? We go and spend a lot of time where we're trying to introspect that person's journey until now, because that is when we learn about what is the purpose. You would realize that in 2 or 3 meetings, you will be able to very clearly identify the purpose behind why the person is doing what he's doing, and that is when you will be once you know their mind, and you come up with your the strengths and weaknesses, which are the SWOT analysis. But other than that, we try and identify uh, what are the value systems, right? What is that one value that they bring to the table? How are they differentiated from their competition? And once you know these two things, then your journey ahead is much simpler, because advertising में, interiors में, इन सब businesses के अंदर सबसे important होता है getting the brief right. If the
Correct.
person is able to get the brief right and it has been understood well by someone who's actually going to execute, then half the battle is won,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
understanding the purpose, understanding your, आप interiors में जब करते हो, I mean, you must have realized that uh, the major focus in terms of design aspects and visualization is always towards the public areas, कि जब guest आएगा तो कैसे करना है,
Exactly.
मेरा ड्राइंग रूम कैसा होना चाहिए, ठीक है, जब गेस्ट आए तो ऐसे दिखना चाहिए, राइट? व्हाई इज इट सो? बिकॉज देयर इज अ सर्टन impression that you're trying to create. So when a guest comes into your home or a guest comes to your office, a client comes to your office, you want to set a particular impression in their minds, right?
Correct.
And that
Correct.
is going to define what you want them to think about you. So at the end of it, what are we doing? We're trying to create an impression of what our brand is. What can they expect from us? What can our clients expect from us if they were to deal with us? Right?
Correct.
So it's all about creating those impressions and perceptions in the minds of people.
And this is happening passively. You don't push that into the mind of the person. You're not telling yourself. It is happening automatically, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is so important because what happens is you can't tell them that, I am like, just a doctor's case, they will be able to understand that there is something called a mass practice and there's something called a class practice, right?
Correct.
Mass practice is where it is for the masses. They want more and more clients, and that is why they price themselves very low. They want to be helping as many people as they can. And class
Correct.
practices, I want few people, but I still want to make the same amount of money in my profession. But I want few people. I want to really deal with them at a very different level,
Yeah.
right? But imagine a difference between a dispensary and a clinic,
Correct.
right? A public dispensary versus a well-designed clinic. The person, the moment he comes in there, suddenly, without saying so, will there be an expectation that is created कि यार यहाँ पे मुझे क्या मिलने वाला है, ठीक है ना? And at the end of it, brand is nothing but a promise in the minds of people,
Okay.
right? So
Absolutely.
it is an unsaid promise that you are actually creating in the minds of your target audience.
And in the audience and in your prospective customers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wonderful. I mean, so guys, to all the audience and especially to the people who will be watching this show later, this is a very important tip which Harbinder shared. That it is, I always say, we don't have to sell. So let people buy from us directly. Let them come to us. Let them come to our offices. Let them come to their homes, and then they perceive our products, our value automatically. We don't have to tell them. And they will be able to understand this. Then you have this done through your interiors, through your personal branding objectives, and but this has to be aligned. This cannot go hayway. This is to be aligned.
Yeah, Shashank, I'd like to share one thing with you. You know what happens is branding क्या करती है? Branding एक लोगों के दिमाग में it creates a promise,
Yeah.
right? It's a promise of what you can expect, right? When you
Correct.
were to go and engage with that company or with that individual, right?
Yeah.
But many a times what happens is there's a certain vision which is created in the minds of your target audience, which could be a customer, patient, or whatever, right?
Correct.
But when they actually come and engage with you, so when they come to your office, right, your
Correct.
interiors is the first thing that they will see,
Yeah.
right? And if that interiors or the place or the, in fact, it's a whole thing. Is interiors is one part of it. I mean, your engagement with the person, the staff, the whole experience. If
Yeah.
it does not align with the promise that they had in their mind, then the battle is lost,
Yeah.
right? Then the trust will never get established.
Established.
But if
Absolutely.
they feel, so it's like when you go to a hotel, you see these ads and they tell you that you will enjoy this, you will it's a place for rejuvenation, and
Yeah.
when you go there, you realize कि बस ऐसा कुछ नहीं है,
It's me.
ठीक है? Will that customer ever come again?
No,
And
never, never.
same thing happens with professionals who are self-employed professionals. So
Okay.
when you look at, and this typically happens with doctors, and doctors may be cosmetic side. So if you go to a dermatologist's clinic, right,
Okay.
or if you go to a dental clinic, आज की डेट में जब पेंडेमिक चल रहा है, ठीक है ना, और
Yeah.
पेंडेमिक के टाइम पे इफ यू गो टू अ डेंटल, एंड डेंटल इज द मोस्ट अफेक्टेड वन बिकॉज
Yeah.
यू आर एक्चुअली ऑपरेटिंग इन द माउथ, and
Yeah.
that's the place from where the disease is spreading,
Spreading. Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But when you enter a dental clinic, the interiors as well as the how well the clinic is kept will
Yeah.
define what you can expect in terms of your hygiene and how much importance they are paying to this particular thing,
Correct.
right? And believe you me, if they find that boss ये तो डॉक्टर बहुत अच्छा है लेकिन ये जगह इतनी गंदी है, वो कहेंगे यार let me delay the treatment and come back later,
Later. Absolutely.
right? So that is what how the space, and it's not just the interior, the whole ambience is how it matters. Similarly, in when you talk about professionals, you know, uh, it's you. If somebody is coming to meet me, and my meeting has taken a little longer, and the second guy
Right.
who's coming to meet me has to wait, so waiting areas are extremely important,
Important. Absolutely.
राइट? सो वो वहां पे बैठा है, वो कोई काम नहीं कर रहा है, वो अपनी जगह में नहीं है, वो आपकी जगह में बैठा है, ठीक है?
Correct.
सो and he's going to read magazines, he's going to watch whatever is going on the television, he's going to observe all the place around him. Now how effectively can you use the space to upsell or to establish your own credibility or to make him comfortable, ठीक है,
Yeah.
or make that person at ease, will define how good your meeting will go,
So, absolutely. And
right?
I believe in just to add it on, Harvinder, because I've observed this and it happened with me a lot of times. You don't sell yourself 100%. So if the client is waiting for you and maybe they're in a good space, they're in a good mindset, 70% of your selling is already done. So you just have to 30% sell when this guy brings into your cabin or to your office, and that is done. And it happens with me a lot of times.
Yes,
So I absolutely
absolutely,
buy this
absolutely.
point. Yeah, I absolutely buy this point, and I'm absolutely like sure that yes, this will play a very very important role, and specifically when we talk about designs, Arvinder. So I see a lot of videos, I see a lot of articles, I follow a lot of Britishers and Americans. So what they do is they focus a lot on their waiting areas. They focus a lot on their office spaces. उनका घर अच्छा इंटीरियर है कि नहीं है उनको मतलब नहीं है. उनको है कि उनका ऑफिस टू बी सुपरस्टार.
देखो शशांक, ऐसी बात है कि when somebody comes, you're an interior designer, and
Yeah,
somebody comes to your office and they are waiting while you are, even if it is for 5 minutes,
yeah,
right? When they're waiting, your place will define how good you are at work,
correct.
right? If you're going to a doctor's clinic, that place will define how popular you are, how much credibility, and what are the kind of services that you offer,
Correct.
right? And similarly, if somebody is coming to my clinic and I'm talking my office, okay, and I'm talking about personal branding, it's the small things like the quotes that I put around, or
Right.
the books that they read, or the messaging that is there, or how. And when I tell people that your brand has to be aligned not only by you but also by your staff, and my staff is not well groomed,
Yeah.
राइट? ये वैसे कि बॉस तो बातें करता है, इनका अपना स्टाफ तो ढंग का है नहीं, ठीक है? ये इंटीरियर्स की बातें करते हैं, अपने तो इनकी जगह साफ है नहीं,
Yeah.
ठीक है? सो इट्स अ डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन ऑफ, एंड आई गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, इट्स अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एग्जांपल. The first project that I unknowingly did, when I was doing personal branding, I started on my journey. So there was, a lot of a thin line between branding and personal branding, and elements of branding. तो सब जगह same ही आते हैं. So I
Correct.
was working on a clinic, and I was insisting on that doctor. I will not name the doctor, but I was insisting on that doctor that you must, clean up, make your clinic in a
Yeah.
professional manner. And we said, we'll change the signage. They said वो
Okay.
signage के ऊपर इतने पैसे को खर्च करने, because they had a very large frontage.
Okay.
Today, that particular clinic has become like a landmark.
Oh,
because the signage is so big,
good idea.
right? The signage is so big that anybody coming into that particular area, they say that, boss, इधर आओगे, यहाँ पे ये बोर्ड दिखेगा, ये क्लिनिक है, वहां से आप लेफ्ट ले लेना या वहां से स्ट्रेट चले आना.
Right.
So it's a landmark which is being referred to. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a landmark for what? It is a clinic, and whose clinic?
Yeah.
So suddenly that clinic has started doing well
Right.
because of certain elements that we added. I'm working on a salon. So when I started
Okay.
working on this with the salon owner, it is in Gurgaon.
Okay.
uh, we started working on, that they're a hair specialist and they are known, and she's really really good. Her place was very average uh, interiors,
Okay.
and I was a little skeptical in taking that work as well. But when I
Okay.
saw her conviction towards her work, her
Okay.
background in terms of training, and the kind of clients that were coming in despite those interiors, and I was very intrigued, and I started working on that particular project.
Okay.
Now, when I started working on that particular project, we spent almost like a month meeting twice or thrice over a cup of coffee, over lunch and everything, just to understand the background. And in the third meeting, the lady opened up with her story.
Okay.
She actually narrated a story of her life from her childhood to now. And
Okay.
you know what? It opened up her whole life in front of me. And
Wow.
then we changed the complete strategy on our personal branding. And now, during this COVID-19 times, while the world is, the businesses are shrinking, they are downsizing the businesses, they're downsizing their teams, they're
Right.
actually moving to a salon which is like three times the size,
My
right?
God, two times.
And when yeah, and despite, all, it's not that their business is not affected,
Yeah.
but the purpose is something that we identified. And
Okay.
now when we are planning the interiors, we are actually, now I'm involved in giving the brief for the place, and we have realized that we do not want to be a me too of the best salon that is there. The
Okay.
place has to demonstrate. So she comes from a belief system that, kindness, positivity, and that a person when goes to a salon and the lady looks good,
Yeah.
right? She feels very confident,
Yeah.
and when the lady feels very confident, she will go all out to fearlessly do whatever she's wanting to do, whether it's the
Yeah.
corporate life, if she's at work, or when she's going out for a get together or
Yeah.
attending a wedding, that the whole confident oozes out,
Yeah.
right? So whatever your outside is, will be defined, will create a better inner self, right?
Absolutely.
So when we
Absolutely.
understood this particular aspect, now the whole salon is being created with using the five elements, and the which are going to tickle the five senses of the customers, right?
Okay.
So while the world is creating a lot of brass and glass and all those
Yeah.
things in the salon, we are actually creating a place which would have a lot of greenery, water bodies. So it's
Wow.
like somebody who's coming in and is going to enjoy that place for next 2 or 3 hours. And
Wow.
we are looking for customers who will like this kind of a place, because they will then be aligned with the salon owner, right? And we are wanting more of such kind of people to come in. So that is a difference. So this is where the place can be a demonstration of what your inner self is,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then you attract all the customers who align with this thought process of yours, and you will have a differentiation which is very difficult for any other competitor to copy, because it is coming from your inner belief and not by a design perspective.
Right.
So
Well, this
that
is
is
so
where, I don't know
amazing.
if it's making sense, but this is
Yeah, it
where
is.
I
It
feel
is.
that it
It
can
is.
be
It is.
really different.
It is making sense because what I feel, Binder, yes, I mean, if your inner self is sorted, your outside will also be sorted, right? And that is how you'll be aligned and you'll be attracting your customers. So this
Absolutely.
absolutely makes sense, and I'm sure our audience or people who will be watching this video tomorrow or day after tomorrow, or maybe this will be there on YouTube for end of the life, and people will definitely love to do this. So, guys, specifically for you, We'll be watching it maybe a year later, and then when you realize, okay, I need to do my interiors of office, home, and whatsoever according to my inner self, according to my brand I carry. This will make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Shashank, it's all about creating experiences.
Yeah.
So, which is why a dhaba is differentiated from a five-star hotel restaurant because it's a whole experience that you're trying to create for
Right.
a particular set of a client, right?
Absolutely.
So that's how it works.
It is there. So, Harbinder, let me take few questions here from the audience.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
this is from Namrata. She says, I am an SME, and how can I create a brand story when even my brand is at a national stage?
Uh, so Namrata, branding is to be done. So first is you do not realize that you anyways would be a brand, as an individual. So if I were to meet a family member of yours or a friend of yours and I ask them that, can you tell me a little bit about Namrata? They will have their opinion. They will share it with me. Okay, this is what I feel that Namrata is, or this is what I think Namrata is, or this is who Namrata is. So the fact is that people will already have an opinion of you. So the only difference that branding does is that you consciously start doing things or start behaving in a particular manner so that people start seeing or get influenced by what they see. You know, so branding is anyways happening. Now, coming on to your question, whether SME can create a brand story even if it is a nascent stage, I think any time that you're starting a business, you have to start creating a brand, and you have to start creating it consciously because branding is not like a typical marketing exercise that boss आज ad निकाल दिया तो इतना ROI आ जाएगा. It is a process that evolves over a period of time.
Yeah.
So Tata as a brand did not happen in 1 year of their planning it. It
Of course.
happened over decades and generations, right? That today it is a trusted, one of the most trusted brands in the country, if not worldwide, right? So branding is an exercise that must start along with your business, and it must be a consciously done exercise, and it should be done with a perspective that it is a ongoing exercise which will evolve over a period of time, right? So you must look at doing branding while you're in a nascent stage.
So this is perfect, Ravinder. I think Namrata, for you to answer, you've already answered this. I hope this answers your question. And yes, I believe in so. Ravinder, let me tell you about my story. So I am a small brand. By the grace of God, we started. Though I am the third generation in the business, but I started my business on a separate note, on an individual basis. So in our family, nobody was into interiors, and it was always a cliche term that interiors तो सिर्फ जिसके पास बहुत ज्यादा पैसा होता है वो कराते हैं और कोई ना इंटीरियर कराता है इंटीरियर डिजाइनर अगर बनना है तो आपको ज्यादा पैसा चार्ज करना पड़ेगा अदरवाइज आप इंटीरियर डिजाइनर बन ही नहीं पाओगे एंड व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड दिस आई वाज इन लंदन हरविंदर एंड व्हेन आई केम बैक टू इंडिया सो व्हाट आई रियलाइज इज यस दिस इज अ बिग गैप ये तो होता ही नहीं है तो या तो एक रकील गुजराल है या फिर एक लोकल कारपेंटर है बीच के इंटीरियर डिजाइनर्स के बारे में तो कोई बात ही नहीं करता है और वो भी बेचारे ठेकेदार या कॉन्ट्रैक्ट से बन के रह जाते हैं सम अदर वे and
Right.
that is how I started my journey 3 years, 4 years back. When like properly we started Rodolfo, otherwise prior to that we were doing so many things, and that is when I realized it is important right from every minute of your inception. So every because I was traveled worldwide, I was exposed to a lot of by the grace of God by a lot of people, lot of tools. So I started doing it on day one, and here we are today. So we are considered to be one of the top five brands in Noida, and a lot of people come to us in Noida region.
Brilliant, brilliant, Shashank.
Thank you, Arvinder.
Brilliant.
So let me take another
Yeah.
question from Akash. He
Shashank,
says,
before you go to the next question, I want to tell you something which actually stems out. It's something that I want to share with everyone, and it
yeah,
stems out of your story. Is that it is extremely important for people who want to create their own brand to identify their niche that they want to operate in, right? Because you can't be serving everyone, right? Because वो कहते हैं ना कि if you try to serve everyone, you will actually end up serving no one.
No one. Yeah.
So, so you need to identify who your target audience is, what is it that you can do for them, and what is within that, what is your specialty, you know. So it is amazing. I mean, if you go back to the age old, I if I go back to my childhood, I remember uh, relating to interior designing,
Yeah.
Panchkuya Road ke upar, if you would go,
Correct.
there were these Sopti furnitures and everything. So we had
Yeah.
these large furniture showrooms. It
Yeah.
was at one point in time the place to go for large furniture showrooms. And
Correct.
you would also have these small shops which were doing roaring business,
Yeah.
right? But they were specialized. They would be shops, वो कुछ नहीं करते, वो सिर्फ मंदिर बनाते हैं,
But yes. Yes.
ठीक है ना. उनका काम और कुछ नहीं था. वो मतलब आपने कुछ भी टेबल कुर्सी आपने कैबिनेट्स कहीं से बनवा लो, मंदिर बनवाना तो मेरे पास आ जाना,
मेरे पास
ठीक है ना. So that is the kind of niche that people would do it. And while you will have an interior designer who will do all the things, people would say कि यार मंदिर बनाने के लिए उनके चले जाते हैं, उनकी ना कोर है, उनकी स्पेशलिटी है ये, ठीक है. So उनको जो बोलेंगे वो उस टाइप का बना देंगे. So that is a kind of niche that people have actually dwelled in, and they are today doing roaring business in their own
Yeah.
categories. So
Absolutely.
beautiful. I mean, you were able to identify a niche for yourself, and something that I want to share with everyone is that I had once reached out to Shashank that Shashank, we need to get something done in Gurgaon. Can I give you can I refer you to them? He said, no, Harbinder, I'm sticking on to only Noida in the 5 kilometer radius. मैं
Yeah.
अभी गुड़गांव नहीं कर रहा. So that is the kind of niche that I actually use. So you don't have to be the a celebrity for the world, but
Yeah.
in your own area, you can be the celebrity in your profession in that particular niche. So brilliant, Amit
Absolutely.
Shashank.
थैंक यू अर्पिता. मुझे इससे याद आया, यस आपने पूछा था मेरे से, है ना. आई थिंक सलून के बारे में बात हो रही थी. यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द सलून
हाँ,
ओनली. अभी जो बात कर रहे हैं.
yes.
एंड आई मीन आई टेल यू द स्टोरी व्हाई आई डिड दिस. बिकॉज मैंने रियलाइज किया, जब हम बिजनेस स्टार्ट कर रहे होते हैं ना हरविंदर, हमारे पास पैसे नहीं होते हैं. सो हमें एवरी कस्टमर बिकम्स द किंग फॉर अस. मे बी every work, whether it is small or large, becomes the bread and butter for us. But what I realize is, because of this, you will be staying in the course of just sustaining yourself throughout the life. क्योंकि आप हर कुछ करना चाहते हो जो सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. Whereas if you start doing personalized, if you start doing customized, and maybe limited to one region as of now, and maybe tomorrow or maybe year later, maybe 5 years later, 6 years later, you decide to go to 10 different cities, that is okay. And that is what I invite in. इसलिए मैं वो बिल्कुल मना कर देता हूँ जो मेरे रीजन के बाहर होता है.
नहीं नहीं,
I
बिल्कुल
prefer
बिल्कुल.
that.
And yeah, you need. It's important to also know when and what to say no to.
Yeah, yeah. And then it took me a while. I mean, and I'm thankful to my coaches and my mentors. So they've just infused this into me that you have to say no. Every business is not a good business to do. You have to say no. So
Correct,
that's what
correct.
to get in. Okay, so let me take the next question. So this is from Akash. He says, so this is very limited. So he says, does it like necessary to show personal life or maybe about us as a brand owner, as a business owner to the world on social media?
Uh, I think it is important because what happens is, as an individual, there are certain values that you bring to the table. बिजनेस सेम होते हैं. जो आप कर रहे हो शशांक, वही बाकी इंटीरियर डिजाइनर्स भी कर रहे हैं. कोई ऐसे अलग चीज नहीं होती है, ठीक है.
Correct.
आप भी एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यू आर सर्विंग अ पर्टिकुलर नीड, ठीक है.
Yeah.
यस, द इंटीरियर वुड बी डिफरेंट, द थॉट प्रोसेस वुड बी डिफरेंट. So the difference between one company or a one professional from other professionals in the industry, or one company from the competitors, the difference is the person behind the business.
Yeah.
How he, what is his perspective? how he deals with the customer, what is the value that that person brings to the table. Now, these are the things which are going to differentiate the business, right?
Yeah.
So, it is extremely important for people to understand the story of that particular person, right? Or
Right.
it could be very, very simple. I mean, the problem is that when we start doing personal branding, people are thinking that, कोई 30 मार का चीज निकलेगी, कोई बहुत बड़ी चीज निकलेगी. But you do not realize that these are small things that could differentiate. I know of a tailor in CP, you know, he specializes, उसकी speciality ये है कि he can deliver stuff in 24 hours, right?
Oh,
But
wow.
besides that, उसकी reputation जोन सी है, उसकी रेपुटेशन ये है कि while the whole tailoring community is known for, and I can tell you that all the ladies in this in the among the viewers will relate to this, कि अगर हमें फ्राइडे को कपड़े चाहिए तो हम उसको बोलते नहीं हमारा ना वेडनेसडे को फंक्शन है, क्यों पता है कि
Correct.
वो साला वेडनेसडे को नहीं देगा, मे बी थर्सडे को देगा, डिले कर देगा एक आध दिन, right?
Correct.
But with that particular tailor, you can be rest assured, again, if he said that he will give it to you on Wednesday, he will give it to you on Wednesday. It could
Wow.
be Tuesday also, but Wednesday to de dega. So that is over a period of time, his reputation has got built, and that is how his personal brand has been curated. That he is now known that he will be the person who can be trusted for time.
Yeah.
He values time, right? Similarly, and this is also goes for interiors also. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at the interior designers, the first thing that comes in our mind is, and I can tell you because I've also been in the interiors as an individual myself, I got
Okay.
trained into interiors. But what happens is that the first thing that people will tell you is कि बॉस अगर उसने बोला है ना कि 50 लाख लगेंगे, तो यार 60 लाख का बजट लेके चलना, क्योंकि इतना तो ऊपर लग ही जाता, right?
Correct.
Whereas I've also seen with someone, a few interior designers who will say that, boss, we will make sure that we will complete it within your budget,
But
right? So it's these small things that can actually create a reputation and a brand for you within
exactly.
the industry that you operate in. Why
Correct.
do we go to a certain doctor? Because that is where we are playing with somebody's life,
Yeah.
right? And that is when we say that, boss, I can't take chances, I need to be 110% sure that this is what I am looking at, so give me somebody. So which is why few doctors are reputed with their experience and their testimonials, while others are hit and try, right? So, and what happens when you are having a personal brand? People are willing to pay through their nose
Yeah.
for your services, despite your competition is willing to do it at lesser price,
Correct.
right? वो फिर भी वो कहते हैं कि नहीं यार, 10% एक्स्ट्रा लग जाए, लेकिन मेरे को इससे कराना है, बिकॉज मेरे को कॉन्फिडेंस है ये जो करेगा ठीक करेगा.
Correct. And I think it is because of the value you bring into the table. Maybe on like आपने भी टेलर का एग्जांपल दिया, maybe वो महंगा होगा थोड़ा सा, maybe वो शायद थोड़ा प्रीमियम होगा, but because his reputation is good, he is able to deliver you beforehand. You are willing to pay extra 10% because आप आज recommend कर रहे हो, that means you are willing to pay.
Absolutely. And when you look at my earlier thing, when I told you that, I start with introspection about the person's journey until now, because ये चीजें आपके करने से नहीं होती हैं, ये आपके belief systems हैं, आपके value systems हैं. If that person is known for delivering stuff on time, it's because
Yeah.
he anyways values time
Fine.
as an individual,
Yeah.
right? So
Correct.
that is, he's also dealing with workers, and workers
Right.
have been known to, sir बत्ती चली गई थी, अभी काम नहीं हुआ टाइम पे, सर वो सामान नहीं आया, मैंने तो अपना काम कर लिया. But he's also dealing with those kind of workers at the back end.
Correct.
But everybody now knows, so it is not only his customers, but his vendors also know that this guy values time.
Fine.
This is something that he will not compromise on, right? So that becomes your personal brand,
Yeah.
right? So that is what you stand for, कि बॉस दुनिया इधर की उधर हो जाएगी, मैं टाइम मेंटेन करके रखूंगा.
And I think so this is very well related, as you said, आपने बताया इसको पर्सनल ब्रांड से, क्योंकि उस इंडिविजुअल का बिजनेस का ब्रांड जो भी होगा, बट बिकॉज उसका कल्चर उसके अंदर वो थॉट वैसा है, तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली उसका पर्सनल ब्रांड बन गया. This is pretty amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you cannot uh, you have to be authentic about it.
Yeah, yeah,
But you can't fake a personal brand. And I personally do not like to work with anyone who tells me that this is what I want to create in the market because मेरा ना अभी मैंने IPO निकालना है, अभी ये
हाँ,
कंपनी का हमने ग्रो करना है, we are going to raise capital, so I
correct,
need to create this impression. Because it does not work, because somewhere down the line your authentic self will come out, right? Their breakdowns will happen, and when that happens, and people will see the real side of you, and it does not match with what you have been promising, then you will be known as a fraud,
correct.
right? And so it is people, you can't personify something that you're not for a long period of time. So you
Yeah.
need to be very, very genuine and authentic about what you are doing and what you're trying to portray.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing insight, हविंदर. मुझे लगता है एक बार ना आपके पास 1 घंटा बैठना पड़ेगा ऑफिस आके और बहुत सारी बातें करनी है. It's a lot
It
of
will be
things.
my honor. It will be my honor.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let me take another question and then we move to our story. So this is very important, Harvinder. ये मेरा question है आपसे. How can we treat our competitors? There are big and small competitors everywhere in every industry. So being a small brand or being a small SME, how can we treat that competition? And how can we perceive कि एक बड़ा brand है maybe रसील गुजराल and एक छोटा brand है maybe वो for Shashank. So how do we take that head on?
I'll go back to what I said a few minutes ago
Yeah.
कि वो बड़ा ब्रांड है किसके लिए, ठीक है ना? उनकी ऑडियंस क्या है और आपकी ऑडियंस क्या है? आर
Okay.
यू एज बिग अ ब्रांड among the audience that you are operating in,
Okay.
right? You may not be known worldwide, or may not be known countrywide, right? But
Yeah.
when you're operating in a certain ecosystem with a very set of clients that you're looking at, do these guys know of you? That is very, very important,
Okay.
राइट? सो वो चीज़ देखनी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि ब्रांड जो सा है गेट्स इवॉल्व ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम व्हेन यू आर ऑथेंटिकली doing things day in and day out, and
Yeah.
everything is being done where the underlying message is towards the objective of creating a certain perception in the minds of people, it will gradually start building up. Now,
Right.
in today's day and age, it has become easier. For example, for Rasil Gujral to create a brand would have taken a longer period of time than for what it will take you. Because during that time, social media was not as prevalent as what it is today. Right? Today, you
Yeah.
have a social media which is available. Now, what does social media do? The social media actually does two beautiful things,
Okay.
right? One is it gives you visibility,
Okay.
right? It allows you to, other than words, use pictures,
Oh yes.
right? Not only allows you to use pictures, but also use your sound and video, right? So people before they meet you, ठीक है ना? अब when you speak about, okay, I know Shashank Jain is an interior designer, I will
Yes.
introduce you to him. Versus I say, I will introduce you to Shashank Jain, ये उसकी फोटो है यार, ये बंदा ये आके मिलेगा आपको.
Correct.
Versus now I say that this is a video of his where people can see you and
Yes.
people can hear you talk, and not only hear you talk, they can listen to what you are saying. So they will make a very intelligent judgment or perception about your knowledge, your ability, and your background,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When they know these three things, there are very little surprises or shocks, because these three things will create a perception in their mind कि मेरे
Yeah.
को लग रहा है कि शशांक इस टाइप का बंदा है, आई थिंक इट्स वर्थ मीटिंग हिम,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Second thing is that social media also allows you, in fact, not just social media, I will talk about digital media per se.
Okay.
Digital media allows you to segment the market and reach out to a specific target audience,
Okay.
right? So these two things can help you. But it is never too late, one, to start building your brand. Second is, I think that the biggest challenge that we as human beings are faced with, and I'm going towards the philosophy side right now, is because we start comparing ourselves to everyone,
Yeah.
right? So you will always have somebody who's little more well known than you, right? And there will be always someone who's lesser known than you.
Yeah.
That does not, by any standard, say that you are not doing the great job, right? Even Ratan Tata has many more people who are more popular than him,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
But how do you compare Amitabh Bachchan to Ratan Tata?
You
Amitabh
can't.
Bachchan has got a different audience. He's in a different profession. Ratan Tata is in a different profession. He's got a
Yeah.
different audience. Now, even if you within that, if you go, when you look at Ratan Tata versus another small professional, उसकी audience different है. वो
Correct.
अपनी audience में hero है, ठीक है ना? So you can be the hero of your story among the audience that you are targeting.
Correct.
So I would think that you can't be everything to everyone. You have to identify your own set of people, define the ecosystem within which you want to operate in, and then figure out whether you are the hero in that ecosystem or not. And hero does not mean that you have to have a lot of visibility and everything. But when a particular person who is within your target audience, when he's looking at something, does he think of you? Are you visible to him?
Yeah.
And are you being seen in the right perspective by that person? Is what your personal brand should be talking of.
I think this is pretty fair, Harvinder, because like me, for other SMEs, it's the biggest question, right? And you answered it really well. You have to be the Raja of your own audience. You have to be the topmost person, maybe top 5% in your own audience. It may be a middle class, it may be upper middle class, maybe high class, or whatsoever it is. So, I mean, this is pretty good, and this gives me some peace today. And I will be in a different mode from tomorrow.
Also think of your, I something that I tell a lot of people when I deal with them
Yeah,
is हम लोग जब अपनी target audience define करते हैं, so we generally go by the demographics and the genders, etc. We talk about I'm looking at people from 35 to 50 years of age. My target audience is largely male
yeah,
and from say Delhi or within Noida, whatever. But we fail to go beyond that,
yeah.
and I think we need to create customer persona. Try doing it, Shashank, unless you've already done it. Because uh, try creating a customer persona. Go and create an avatar of that person. And if you can do it on paper, great. But even if you don't do it on paper, sometimes just sit down alone, close your eyes, and try and visualize your customer standing in front of you.
Okay,
उसने वो कैसा दिखता है, उसने किस टाइप के कपड़े पहने हैं, ठीक है, उसने किस टाइप का मोबाइल पकड़ा हुआ है, ठीक है,
okay.
और वो सामने खड़ा है आपके, उसके किस टाइप के बाल हैं, वो किस टाइप के जूते पहने हुए हैं उसने।
Hey,
मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, अगर आपने ये एक बारी क्लोज किया, यू विल बी एबल टू देन बेस्ड ऑन योर ओन एक्सपीरियंसेस से दैट यू नो व्हाट this kind of a person, okay, he's using, does he use a laptop or does he use mobile for
okay,
social media? Now if he is doing laptop पे जाता है, तो ये बंदा जो है ये किस टाइप की वेबसाइट्स देखता होगा, ठीक है, वो फेसबुक पे होगा, पिंटरेस्ट पे होगा, या इंस्टाग्राम पे होगा, ठीक है,
okay.
और अच्छा ये इंस्टाग्राम पे होगा, इंस्टाग्राम में किस टाइप की चीजें फॉलो करता होगा। Now, when you drill down to that level, because of seeing that person in front of you,
Yeah,
you will say that boss, मैं तो फेसबुक में एडवर्टाइज करते आ रहा हूँ, मैं तो सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग फेसबुक में कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, और मैं इस टाइप के ऐड निकाल रहा हूँ, whereas this guy is on Instagram and he's looking at this thing. So you will be able to align your visibility to that person more scientifically than just playing in the dark.
and this is so good. I mean, yes, मैंने किया नहीं है यूजर पर्सोना, पर मुझे गुरप्रीत ने एक बार बताया था, इज गुड फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन, ही इज इनटू यूएक्स।
हाँ,
तो ही टोल्ड मी दैट यू शुड मेक अ यूजर पर्सोना। तो मेरे बात आई गई होगी, मैंने कहा छोड़ो यार, बनाएंगे कभी। बट मुझे लगता है आज रात
बहुत
को
पावरफुल है, बहुत पावरफुल है, बहुत पावरफुल, एंड गुरप्रीत knows a lot about this, so you're in the right company.
थैंक यू सो मच। एक बार ग्रुप के साथ बनाता हूँ, देन आई विल कम टू यू टू रिव्यू इट।
Thank you.
I think that's great. So I think Arvind, we are there at almost in the end, and it is a great conversation, I'm sure. So, would you like to give some piece of advice to the audience? Maybe we'll be watching it tomorrow. So we have an interior-related audience, people who are looking to do interiors, or people who are learning interiors, or maybe architects. So these are our subscribers on channel. So would you like to give them some advice, please?
Absolutely. So, I'll just share whatever is coming into my mind. I'm going with the flow, specific related to interiors because uh, first is आपके many a times we go by what we see around us. हम किसी के घर गए, हमने वो जगह देखी, and then we want to recreate that particular space. And sometimes we create offices because we want to have the best looking office. But over a period of time, these things will die down, right? I would urge each one of you to go deep dive within yourself to identify how does a place define you. So I'll give you a small example. When I was doing interiors of my house compared to my office, the latest trend was that you have white interiors, everything white and with a Italian marble and everything. And suddenly I realized, oh, paint ho raha tha. And suddenly I realized that what, it's looking beautiful. It is a very modern look, but it's not something that I enjoy.
Good.
I love colors. I love colors. So that is when, I mean, that's the reason you'll find this golden wall behind me,
Yeah.
right? And I love to experiment. I love to experiment with spaces and colors,
Yes.
etc. So it is important to go follow your heart because ultimately, uh, you are creating a place for yourself when it comes to interior designing.
Yeah.
Second is when it comes to professional spaces, offices, you must keep in mind your target audience, right? You must keep in mind what is the objective of that business, who are you trying to attract, for what is the kind of uh, experience that you want to give them, and how would it relate to what your inner self is,
Okay.
you know because you will realize that there are certain spaces which will have a lot of positive vibes,
Yeah.
right? There will be places which will be very vibrant.
Yeah.
There will be places which will be very very formal. मतलब वहाँ पे आपको, you can't, I mean, if you walk in jeans or in a t-shirt, you will be a misfit there. You will find yourself to be a misfit there. While
Yeah.
there be spaces which you define, there are offices which are for younger people, right? Which are more open offices, they are more colorful offices, they're more vibrant, right? And you are creating that space because you want to create that culture of free will spirit around yourself. So identify what is it that you're wanting to do, why are you doing it, and for whom you are doing it,
Yeah.
and what is the kind of impression that you are going to create for them. I'll share with Shashank. I'll take a minute to
Yeah. Please.
share how a personal brand gets formed.
Okay.
You know, and then I'll come to two tips on what they should do. So one is always remember that whatever you are doing, your actions, who are you seen with, who are you, in what car you come, what space you are doing, what clothes you are wearing. You may not be conscious, but people around you are observing it, right? So people are observing you all the time. Even if you go to a hyper store, आप बिग बाजार चले जाते हो या फिर आप शॉपर स्टॉप जाते हो, आप किस तरीके से वो सेल्समैन से बात कर रहे हो, बाकी लोग आपको देख रहे हैं. If you go to a restaurant or you eat, people are watching you. They may not say anything, right? But they are observing you. Now when they are observing you, they are creating a perception in their own minds, right? And over a period of time, this perception that they are creating in their own minds becomes a truth and a reality for them, right? And when this becomes a reality, then every time that they are dealing with you, they are responding and reacting to that reality of what they think about you,
Yeah.
right? So it will be a very biased thing. So this generally gets formed very easily, but which means that if I am creating this reality in my mind based on what I'm observing you doing, then if you were to do certain actions which influence my thinking, then I will think of you in a particular way,
in a particular.
right? Similarly, the spaces that you create around you are letting people think about what they think about you,
Yeah.
right? Right, so this is how your perception gets turned into a personal branding,
So I mean, the tip one
right?
is always remember your actions.
Always
First,
remember your
start
actions.
serious in how you eat. This is the key
Yeah,
takeaway
be
today.
cautious. I'm not saying you become rigid about it, but be
Yeah.
conscious about this.
Yeah.
Because अगर आपको पता है कि लोग आपके बारे में एक इम्प्रेशन क्रिएट करेंगे, तो आप वो चीज करो जो वो डिफाइन करेगी उस थॉट प्रोसेस को,
Yes.
ठीक है ना? और द ओनली वन थिंग, वन 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 डिस्क्लेमर हियर इज दैट आई एम नॉट सेइंग आप शोषा करना शुरू कर दो,
मैं
ठीक है ना?
पूछने वाला था आपसे.
नहीं नहीं, ये आर्टिफिशियल लाइफ की बात नहीं कर रहा, विच इज वेयर माय टू टिप्स दैट आई वांट टू गिव यू इज in everything that you do. It is forget about personal branding, forget about interiors, it's a general life thing. That one, be authentic and be genuine, राइट? क्योंकि जो भी चीज आप कर रहे हो अगर वो ऑथेंटिक नहीं है, वो आप बहुत एंडलेस टाइम के लिए नहीं कर सकते. इट विल नॉट कम नेचुरली टू यू. इट्स ओनली व्हाट यू यूजुअली आर. It will come genuinely comes to you, will be something that you will naturally start doing it, right? Second is consistency, which is an outcome of authenticity only, right? Because whatever you are doing, you have to consistently be seen doing those things, be consistently be seen doing those things in every situation.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना? और आप मतलब वैसे कस्टमर से बहुत प्यार से बात कर रहे हो और सब कुछ कर रहे हो, और सडनली आप उनके फैक्ट्री में चले जाओ तो वो लेबर से ऐसे बात करते हैं जैसे पता नहीं वो इंसान ही नहीं है,
Yeah.
ठीक है ना? तो जो सामने वाला बंदा है वो कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा, यार ये क्या, व्हाट इज द रियलिटी? इज ही जनरली अ काम बैलेंस पर्सन, और इज ही दिस शॉर्ट टेम्पर्ड person who can't be, who's very, who reacts to things, right? So be consistent in your behavior, be consistent in your messaging, be consistent in the frequency of doing things, so that people will start seeing you over a period of time. They will start relating to what you are doing, ठीक है ना? फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग की बात करता हूँ, ठीक है, मैं इंटीरियर्स की बात करता हूँ तो उसको भी पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग से रिलेट करता हूँ, ठीक है? आई कैन टॉक अबाउट पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग बिकॉज इट कम्स सो नेचुरली टू मी. इट इज सो ऑथेंटिकली आई बिलीव इन इट, बिकॉज मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में एक्सपीरियंस करके देखा है, मैंने अपने क्लाइंट्स के साथ ट्राई करके देखा है. And I work with CXOs, I work with individuals, I work with business owners at all levels, and I've seen this make a difference, so I can passionately talk about it.
Yeah.
राइट? बट अगर मैं किताब पढ़ के बोलना शुरू कर दूं तो कहीं ना कहीं मैं फंस जाऊंगा,
आएगा ही नहीं,
ठीक है ना?
naturally आएगा.
So authenticity and consistency are the two things that will define everything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the key takeaway. मैंने already इस पे डाल दिया है ना. Harbinder, I would like to introduce your WhatsApp group also. मैंने उसे join किया है. And I think it's an amazing thing which you're doing. तो मैं उसको लिंक डाल रहा हूँ और आप बताएं उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा.
बिल्कुल, ये बेसिकली एक छोटा सा ग्रुप है which is being used for non-marketing purposes. So I'm not trying to sell something here. Neither, and it's a closed group. It's a closed group where no forwards are allowed, nothing is allowed. It is only used for two things. One is if there is a question that somebody has, that they can either post or send it to me, right? And or anything somebody wants to share about personal branding, they can share it there. So it has to be very focused on personal branding. It will have a place, a safe place to ask questions related to personal branding. And third is, this is where I, whatever comes into my mind, मेरे को कई बारी वो एक वो sudden when I'm reflecting on the concept of personal branding, some things that come into my mind which I want to share with people. I share my thoughts, my tips, and my perception about how people can, uh, be impacted through personal branding is what I share. So it's a closed user group, and this is only open to people who have attended any one of my sessions. So it is not somebody who does not वहाँ के पूछे भी पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग होती क्या है क्या नहीं है वो चीज नहीं है. So it's somebody who has interacted with me on one of the platforms is invited to come and join this group so that it is a useful platform for everyone.
Isn't it? It's so that people are aware of at least what you're talking about. It's not alien things for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
It's
like we
wonderful.
said, Shashank, that when you spoke about this topic that we wanted to have, I mean, when you go online, I thought let me just go online and see what do other people talk about this.
Yeah,
There was nothing about this, and I'm actually surprised because I have seen how interiors is actually impacting the brand, what people think about the person.
yeah, yeah.
It is so important. It is so important. I'll give you one example before we leave.
Okay.
ठीक है ना. जिसको वो बिकॉज आई रियली वांट टू बिकॉज मेरे को कहीं ना हिट करती है वो चीज कि लोग सोचते हैं
Okay.
कि ये तो शोषण करने के लिए आर्टिफिशियल लाइफ के लिए बोल रहा है कि जिस गाड़ी में आते हो वो भी देखना बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है.
Okay.
उसका एक रीजन होता है. ठीक है ना. While I was working at Google
Okay.
and I was dealing with all kinds of companies. I was dealing with all kinds of people because we were just starting off. Google was a in India was at a startup stage,
Okay.
and we realized that what kind of car, because I was also managing, I was responsible for कि यार खर्चा कितना हो रहा है कंपनी का. And we would say that okay, we were a very lavish company. We would be very very concerned about how our employees are treated and what is the perception that we create. And we asked them that what kind of cars should we use when we are going for business meetings.
Correct.
Okay, because the admin staff comes from we all come from different backgrounds and different workplaces. तो कहीं पे cost cutting का impact होता है, कहीं पे lavishness का impact होता है.
Okay.
So they somebody said very beautifully that what, when you are going for a business meeting
Okay.
and nobody's going to see how you came, you can take an indica.
Okay.
But obviously, when you are going and meeting, say hypothetically, you're going and meeting Sunil Bharti Mittal, we don't want you to take an indica and go,
Right.
right? We want you to probably hire a S-class Mercedes and then go for the meeting. And it's not because of anything else. It's because the person that you're meeting must see you as a one-on-one meeting.
Yes.
Because being relatable to your people is extremely important. If
Important.
they
Yeah.
feel that you are not like them, they will not deal with you. They will put you onto someone else who may or may not be the right decision maker,
Correct.
right? So being you, so when I talk about your car, your house, your office, and everything, it has to be relatable
Yeah.
to the client that you're trying to attract so that they feel that you are like them, because the reality is a human being will always love to do business or transact with people that they like, they are friends with. I mean, we all want to do business first with our friends and family and then with outside,
Absolutely.
right? So you have to be
Yeah.
relatable, and that is the context with which I bring in the concept of interiors and your
Right.
spaces and your car and your clothes, etc.
I mean, this is really important, and thank you so much for sharing this insight, Harbinder. I think so, guys. I mean, it's for the audience on the channel I have. So, as Harbinder said, and the closing statement will be, I will say, everything what you do, every action of your life matters, either to the customer, either to yourself, either to your family, or to the God. So, whatever you do, whether it is good or bad, it's being noticed. So this is the key which I would like to take it away from this session and would like to implement everything what you said here on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvinder, for coming in. Thank you, guys. See you in a
It's my
different talk
pleasure. Thank
show.
you so much for
Yeah,
inviting me.
different word. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.